Welcome. My name is Debbie and this is Pouring My Art Out for the Lord. And I am making something for my Spring Bounty journal today. I wanted to inspire those of you who are playing along in the Spring Bounty Challenge. And if you're not playing around in this challenge, come and join us. We've still got lots of time left. It ends on April 15th, 2025. If you make a project using anything in the Spring Bounty collections, there's 6 kits that have been in the Junk Journal Studios Etsy shop for over a year now. And this is a brand new Spring Bounty folio that just joined the Spring Bounty collection. And this is a standalone project that you have everything that you need to complete this folio or lots of other projects using that as well. This is the folio that I made, and I give a complete tutorial of this on my YouTube channel. So if you want to make this, there is that. And then I also made, last week I made 6 different belly bands using just that folio kit. And I decided I needed a place to put them, so I just made a quick little journal for that. These are some specimen slides that I just made a video for a couple of days ago, so you can check that out as well. But I stuck all my belly bands into this journal. So this one I actually turned into a pocket. I decided to glue this edge as well, so that one became a pocket instead of a belly band. And there's this one that opens up like that, and this one which slides up and down. That looks really cool with that specimen card in there. I like that. My sliding mechanism is a little bit rusty, I think. And I just made a simple little journal using a paper bag. I've done this many times before. Covered it front and back. I don't have a video for this specific one, but I've done this kind of cover several times on my channel as well. And just put one of the beautiful Spring Bounty pages on the front. So I decided for my little journal I needed some pockets. So what I'm going to do today is make, I think it's going to end up being 6 pockets. I thought I started with 6 belly bands. Maybe I should do 6 pockets as well. And I really like making pockets out of junk mail envelopes. There's just something about the paper is just, it's a thin paper, but it's a sturdy paper, and it just makes the best pockets. You know, they're not bulky. They just have the perfect, edges on them. I don't know. It's just, I really like making pockets from junk mail envelopes. So I'm going to give you 6 different options. So the way I'm going to do this video is I'm going to give you all 6 ways to fold the envelopes and prepare them. And then I'm going to cover all of the envelopes with papers from the Spring Bounty collection. And then the third part, I'm going to embellish. So I'm going to take fussy cuts and labels and things like that and embellish them. So it's kind of going to be in 3 parts because I'm going to try to keep it a little bit on the shorter side. But I don't think I'm going to succeed when I'm making 6 total pockets. So I thought I would break it up. I'll put timestamps in the description below. So if you just want to see one part or whatever, you can just skip to that part, or you can watch it all the way through once and then, just skip around to see which pockets that you'd like to, or which process you like to see. So let's get started. So the first pocket that I wanted to make is a tall vertical pocket. So I just kind of was playing around with this a little bit already just to kind of think about what kind of measurements. I've done many of these pockets many times, and a lot of times I just, kind of cut and snip and whatever. I don't really do a lot of measuring. But I thought for this I would try to give you some measurements. So this is just a junk mail envelope with a window. These are the standard business size envelopes that we have in Canada, 4 1/4 by 9 1/2. And what I did is I cut this part off which ended up being about 1.25 inches. I think I added just a little bit because I didn't want this to be too close to the window. So, I mean, you know, about that. It doesn't have to be perfect. And then I wanted the height to be about 8 inches because in my journals I tend to do just a half-page sort of journal. So this would be 8.5, and I didn't want it to be, I could have done a little bit more, but 8.5, it seems like these are always just a little bit shorter. So I wanted it to be a little bit shorter to do the pocket. So, and lots of these, you know, once you start making these, like you could do this as a flip, you know, glue it and flip open, or you could put it over the page. You know, you could, there's so many different ways that you could do these. You can put it over the page like this and have a flip here and have a tuck here, you know, all kinds of different things. So let your imagination just be your guide. But that's how I prepared that envelope. So then what I'm going to do on some of mine is after I get them covered, I'm going to sew. You can sew or glue. I like the look of sewing. So this one I cut open because, I mean, to get this off, I had to cut it open. And to get this off, I had to cut it open. This part, I think I already cut it open from just opening the envelope to begin with. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cover this. I probably will just cover the front because I'm going to glue it in the back as a pocket, and then I'm going to stitch around the edges. So I'll show you the next step on that one in a minute. I don't know where I put my paper clip for that. Okay, and then let's see, kind of trying maybe for the easy ones first. They're all easy, but okay, this is one that I have made over and over and over again, and I just absolutely love it. It's it's a very simple pocket. It's simple to cover. It looks effective. It's easy to decorate, and it's just, because it's an envelope, you have from this edge to this edge. You know, in a pocket, if you glue here and here, then you don't have that roomy pocket, and these ones are just so roomy. I just love that. So what I'm actually going to make 2 of these because I found this envelope which I thought would be perfect. It's a cream color, which is nice. And what I'm going to do is make this to be a tall pocket for a tag, and then this I'm going to make a shorter pocket. So for this one, I'm just going to cut off the tip so that's open. And then I'm going to fold this down, and I'm going to fold it down, I think about 1 inch. It doesn't have to be perfect. And just give that a little bit of a crease. This one you don't need the envelope open on the sides, so you can just glue that shut. You can lick it if you like, or glue it. And then from this edge, I'm just inking it so you can see, I'm just going to cut off this at an angle, and then I'll just turn that over and make it the same angle on this side. So that I have that shape, kind of a tag shape. And then one side of the envelope comes down. I'm going to do it this way. I think maybe I will do it this way because I'll probably cover this. So I'll decide when I get to it. But one side will flip down and one side will stay up. And then we cover that, and then there's a nice roomy pocket in here. So I'll show you how to cover that in a minute. So there's number 2. Oh, and then for this one, you could just make this into 2 pockets. So if this is This one is, oh, this is a little bit shorter one. This is about 9 inches. So I'll just do this one right in half to 4.5-inch pockets. And I will fold this down about 1 inch. You could score it on your scoring board if you like. And glue that flap down. I could have done that at the beginning. Make sure you don't glue down here though, because you don't want to glue your pocket shut, because this is still going to be a pocket inside here and you don't want that to be glued together. Okay, so then I have that. I'm just going to grab my card here. I do this quite often. I just cut off, I don't really even measure it, I just make different sizes of tag shapes, and then I just find one that I like for this particular project. So this one I need a little bit longer, so I'm just going to line it up right at that crease there, and then this way you can get exactly the same and just flip it over, exact same angle without really working at it too hard to try to flip that other piece. And I do that quite often. So there's that one. Again, one piece will come down and one piece will stay up. Put this part on. So this one, usually on these pockets, I'll do one side uncovered if it looks interesting. So this part, you know, I can either do it on the back and leave that uncovered, or I could do it on the front and leave that uncovered and cover this up. So either way. There's one, and then this one I'll do exactly the same way. This is a nice project to do. Just get this part done ahead of time, and then you could even do a little bit of generic decorating with like book page or something like that, so that it looks good with any kind of journal. And then you can add the final decorating when you actually make a journal, and then you can have a bunch of these prepared, so you don't have to do this from start to finish for each journal that you're doing. So there's another one. So that is that pocket. So that's pocket number 2. Get that out of the way. Okay, pocket number 3. This is one that I've done different ways, different styles, just a little bit of a different, you kind of have a V there. This one I decided to score. So this one is 9.5, and I scored it at 5 1/4. So score this at 5 1/4, flip this up. Actually, I think the way I did it is I measured 1 inch from here. So I folded that 1 inch like that, 1 inch showing. Does that make sense? And then I did 1 inch from the left on the top and 1 inch up from the fold on the right hand side, and made 2 little pencil marks. And then if I connect my pencil marks, you can do this on a trimmer or however you want. I'll just do it this way just to show you. And again, this does not have to be accurate at all. And you could leave a little bit of a flap and fold it into it to get a stronger edge, but I think I'm going to sew this one as well. So then this comes up like this. And then you could leave this open for a pocket and this. I never quite see the point of doing that when the 2 pockets are, you know, in exactly the same place, but you could. So I think what I'm going to do is, after I cover it, I'm going to sew this one shut. And then this can be a pocket here when you glue it in, or you could leave this open as a pocket. Or I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a little sliver off of this side. You know, you can really do so many things, you know, as you're doing it. If you cut the wrong part off, just make a new different kind of pocket. So I think this one I'm going to make a pocket here, and then I'm going to make a pocket here. So this one, sometimes when you're making these envelopes, you have to, you know, do a little bit of surgery here to attach, especially these corners, which is no big deal. So So there's that one. So that's pocket number 3. So this is basically the same as that one. This one, instead of making such a long thing up here, it was a little bit shorter and it went all the way to the top. And then I made, so just a different angle cut basically. And this one I think is just one pocket. So I just have one pocket there and I don't have a pocket in the side. So this is the envelope on the back. So, you know, you can do them all kinds of different ways. So that is pocket number 3. Pocket number 4. I found this blue envelope in my stash of junk mail envelopes, and I thought, that's perfect for Spring Bounty. The blue looks perfect with the colors. So I thought I would use that. And this is just kind of, they're the same, but they're a little bit different. These I've made a long time ago as well. So what I'm going to do with this one is I'm going to cut it in half, but not completely in half. I'm going to, this one actually has one of these little flaps. I'm going to keep that because I might end up using that for something. So this one is 9 inches. So how about if we do 4 and 5? So I'm going to do 4 inches here and 5 inches here. And then this is basically, let me just glue this part again. And if you, these were envelopes that, you know, somebody gives you an extra envelope to return something. If you have an envelope that you've already opened, like a junk mail, I always slip mine open on here now instead of struggling with this and making it all rough. So then you don't actually need to attach this because it's already attached when you get the envelope and you cut it open here. So there's that. So this one is basically the same as that. I'll cover it first and then I'll make my little thumb notch, and basically that is a pocket. This one I'm going to make slightly different, and this one I did kind of a, let's glue this part here. This one's very similar to this one and to the second one I think that we just made too. So I'm open here. So I'm going to, this one I have kind of rounded. So how am I gonna, how do I want to do that? I think what I did is if you just kind of not fold it in half, but just meet the edges, the two top corner edges together, and then just make a little bit of a curve like that. And then they're both the same. When you open it up, they're both the same. And then what you can do, this is like the second pocket we made, that we just did this. Or you can cut this off, or even just fold it down and glue it. I'm just going to glue it because if I try to cut it straight, it's not going to work very well. I'm just going to glue this down. And then I'll cover this so you won't even see this part. It won't be a part of the decoration like it was in the second pocket. And then it'll just look like this. So we'll cover the back part separately and this part separately. So it's basically the same as this pocket, except it's just got a little flap on it. So I'm calling that the same pocket. So how many is that? 1, 2, 3, I think this is 4. Okay, and pocket number 5. You know, this one actually, I cut this off of this one here. And what you can do is make this into a pocket too. You can just cover this, and this one is not attached here, so you could sew it or something. And then you could just use this as a little corner tuck. I'm not counting that as one of my pockets, but I think I'm actually going to cover that and make it into a little corner tuck. Or you could use it as a top tuck too. So there's a bonus one for you. Okay, this is another one that I did a long time ago. This was just kind of probably a sample that I made. See, it's an envelope. So this one, what you want to do is take your envelope, and this one I scored at 3.5 and 1 3/4. Basically, you want to do wherever you want this score, and then halfway in between the two. So you could do 4 and 2, or I find 3 and 1.5 would work. I wanted it just a little bit deeper, so 3.5, 1 3/4. So actually, if you're putting it on the scoreboard, it will be 1 3/4 and 3.5, like that. And then this one, I'm going to, did I cut this one? No. So this one, I'm just going to cut a little sliver off of the edge, just from this fold line and up the second score line. So now this is open here. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Little tiny sliver. That's all I'm taking off. And then I also want it at the top. Tiny little sliver. Now, I'm going to fold this up like a pocket. I'm going to fold this in, and then this up like a pocket. So now I have a pocket here if I want to glue it that way onto the page, and a pocket here that goes all the way down to the bottom here, and another shorter pocket. If you want, you can even do it, fold it to the outside like this, and instead of gluing this down like a pocket, you could still glue it as a pocket, but it could also be like a little secret flip. I've done it that way before too. So what you have now is a pocket here, a pocket here, and I'll probably do a pocket here. And if you want, you don't have to glue this side. You want to glue this side to make the pocket. But here, you want to, you can leave this open as a flip or glue it down as a pocket. So I'm not gluing all of the structure of these yet, because I want to, in most cases, I want to cover a little bit before I attach the pocket. So that's our next step. So this is pocket number 5. Always losing my paper clips here. And this is pocket number 6. Nope, that's one we already did. This is pocket number 6. Now this one is a little bit more maybe involved. It could almost be like a separate folio type thing. Did you have your envelope like this? You cut off a little sliver over here, you cut a little sliver over here, and you cut a little sliver off the top or the bottom. So then basically you open it up and you have one large piece. And then instead of folding it back this way, you fold it the opposite way like this, and then you fold it in half. And then what that gives you is a front cover with a window on it. And then you can open it like this. And then we could do all kinds of stuff on here. We could do like a side pocket here. We could do a top pocket here. You could do a little belly band. You could do a pocket here. And we're gonna decorate this in a couple of different ways. So, I mean, I guess you could do it this way, but then if you do it this way, I'm just thinking, if you took your original envelope and just folded it in half, you could do it that way as well. And then your window would be there. So you could put either a top loading pocket or a side pocket. And then this could be a top pocket or a side pocket. Could do it either way. Depends on how you want to use it. So there's that one. So that's pocket number 6. So I'm just going to grab, I printed up a whole bunch of papers from the Spring Bounty kit. I'm going to go grab them and organize my thoughts a little bit, and I'll be right back in 2 seconds to show you how to cover the pockets. Okay, so I'm just going to show you my selection of papers that I printed. These are all from the Spring Bounty 6 kit collection. So from these guys. So I took it from the printable journal pages, the printable coordinating pages, and probably this other printable coordinating pages, so kit 1, 2, and 3, and there's also one freebie in there. So here's one. So I wanted to kind of highlight the pinks. I love this with the invoice in the background there. And then here's a blue one. Here's one with kind of all the colors, which I thought would be good, with some dictionary page and some script here, music page maybe, and all kinds of stuff. And here's a green one with some script in the background. Beautiful for collage, which is what we're going to be doing. This one I liked because it had a lot of just sort of white and black kind of pencil drawing and some other colors here, but just not, I don't want everything to be super bright. Here's a nice yellow one. This is the freebie collage page, so this is available on the Junk Journal Studios coffee page for free. And then this one, and well, 3 of them, I guess. 3 of them that are kind of already sort of collage pages from the Spring Bounty kit. So this one has the pink and blues, this one has the green and a little bit of tannish yellow, and then purple. So then these ones will be perfect for collage type pages too. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, I'll probably do a couple of these in real time and then maybe speed it up a little bit because there's a little bit of monotony in some of it. But what I'm going to do is just sort of put it on and trim it off. Let me just... grab something to glue on here. So this one is not attached here, but I'm just going to do the front. So I'm going to put some glue on, and I am going to sew around this one. If you're not going to sew, I would put a bit of wet glue at least around the edges there. And I'm going to butt this up against my window. Like that. And then cut that off. You can measure things if you want, but I think that would be maybe a little bit tedious because there's be a lot of measurements and they won't be exact, and however you like to collage. So there's one side. Then I can just use another paper, whatever I want for here. Maybe I'll use that one. Just put some glue at the bottom. Which side did I have? Right here, I think. So kind of just butt it right up. You can kind of even cover the edge a little bit so that the rounded part of the window goes away, but then you don't have a little bit of the side showing. It's hard to explain, but if you kind of cover up a little bit of the window, then your rounded edges come off, but then you don't have a little bit of this just that little rounded part showing, which is fine. If it shows, it's not a big deal. So I'm just going to cut that one off. Like that, and then I need a couple more pieces. Once you start doing this for a little bit, you're going to have, you know, kind of a little bit of scrap pieces too. Do that one. So then you can just sort of fit little scrap pieces here and there. This is a really nice activity to just put a video on or music or something and just listen in the background. So there's that, and then I just got that one little piece there. This one I kind of do have to measure. So it's just over 1 inch. So a couple little scraps here. somewhere, but let me see. Just gonna get about an inch and a little bit, inch and a quarter, I'll say, over here. And then I'm just going to cover that like that. You could ink the edges as you go, but I'm not going to do that this time. So I'm just going to kind of cover a little bit more. In fact, I think I want just a little bit of glue there. This one I might put a little bit of wet glue on too, just to put a little bit of wet glue on this one because it's kind of a smaller piece and it's just kind of going to be a little bit, it won't be sewn on these edges here. So just like that. You can overlap your pieces if you want. I'm not overlapping too much, but basically there's our pocket. Doesn't look like much now. But once we get it inked and sewn and decorated, it's going to look fabulous. So there is pocket number 1. So let me see. There's probably a little bit in a lot of these that I just want to show you how to do. So I don't want to have to make you watch me do the whole thing of every single one, but and you will notice as you do this that envelopes are not completely 100% square accurate. So see, like you can see here, this one is not quite straight. So if you try to measure, it is a bit of a headache too. And I do kind of like that pattern, so I think I'm not going to cover that flap. So I'm just going to cover this back part here. So let me see what I want for that. Actually kind of like that maybe. So I am going to measure this one a little bit. So I want it to go right inside the pocket a little bit. So this pocket is 4 and if I did it in 4 1/16, I could probably, 4 would probably be good. It's just a smidge over 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4 and a smidge. So that fits. Not quite. Trim a tiny bit off of here. My smidge was a smidge and a half. There we go. So I like to just put it in a little ways because, you know, you see a little bit of that pocket and it's, I don't know, it's just kind of nice to have that showing. And I'm just going to put just a little bit of wet glue at the very bottom here. find that easier than glue stick, because glue stick is going to maybe get all over the place. And kind of flick that up and put your pocket in, or put your paper in your pocket. Put it to where you want it. This one's easy because it's got lines on it. And then just give that a press, and then that'll hold that piece in nicely. And then I'm just going to fold it over the back here like this, and then just cut it off or rip it on the back. There's many, many ways to do this, so, you know, you don't have to do it exactly the way I'm doing it. And I'm just going to put a little bit of glue here. Two sides. I'm probably going to sew this one. Well, I don't know yet. Okay, and then I just want to recut those corners. It's a little bit trickier because I've already covered them, but you can kind of see on the side there. So then there is that one done. And the other ones are exactly the same way, so I'm not going to do those on camera. I'll do those afterwards. So that is number 2. Okay, number 3, I think, was this one. Now, I need to cover this, and I need to cover this. And I'm going to attach this. This could also flip down too. So many different ways that you can do these. That's what's so fun about these, I think, you know, that you can just really, really... And I think I'm going to attach this, so this doesn't actually have to go all the way down. It could just go up like that, because you won't see what's underneath. But I might decide not to do that, so I'll just put it at the bottom. It's just another inch of paper. Not a big deal. And any of these papers, you know, you can collage. You don't have to just do one strip. You can collage it, but this is already collaged, so that works for me. What about this one? What do you think? I kind of like how that looks. So... piece that I'm cutting off here might fit in that other pocket. I'm not sure how that's going to work. So I want this to go up this direction. I'll use this side. I don't take very much time to think when I'm videoing, because you really can't. You don't want to, well, I don't want to. Some people I admire the crafters that just sort of turn on the camera and just do their thing the way they always do their thing, and I always feel like I have to rush through, you know, a bunch of this stuff because it gets boring for you guys to watch. But so there is that one. I actually really like how that looks. And then this part that I cut off, I'm just wondering if that will fit here. It probably will fit there perfectly, because that's where I cut it off from. So I'm just going to put glue on that. This was just that little corner. And how does this fit? Like this. Is that correct? Or this way? This way. I think. You don't have to do it this way. You could do totally different paper, but just because that fit perfectly. There's my little side tuck on that one. Okay, and what's next? So that was this one. Okay, so I got that one. I can't remember now which order I did these in. I'll do this one next. So this was two different ones. This is just a very simple one. You just put one or more pieces of paper on the front, and this has that blue. So I was thinking for this one, I might just cover a part of it. So this is 4 inches. So I'm just going to cut 2 inches off of here. Here this time. Make sure I get my pocket the right side up. And I'm going to just glue it on like that. And that is basically that pocket done. Pretty neat, hey? So this one, just do a little bit of a thumb notch now because I decided not to cover that with paper. Don't even have to ink the bottom. I might ink around the edge a little bit with this one, but because it's blue, it's pretty much done. So that was quick. This one, blue, blue, blue. Let me see, do I want this again? Pink and blue, that looks pretty. Cover the whole pocket front with this one, and then I may just leave the flap on the back there. Blue, since I've already got a blue envelope. You can also make any of these into a floating pocket, and in that case you may want to cover the back. In this particular one, you wouldn't even really have to. You could stick a label or something on the back and it would be good to go. So I think that is good for that one. And I could put a thumb notch there or not, but I think I will. It's going to take a little bit of my writing off, but that's okay. Why is this not going on? Trying to make it so you guys can see, but then I can't see what I'm doing. So there's that one. And then, which one do I have next? This one. Okay, what am I going to do with this one? Oh, so this one I actually just used the inside of the envelope. This one I don't like that because it's got that white on it, but that worked out well for this one. So I think I'll just cover all of this, and this on this one. So let's see what we haven't used here yet. Maybe I'll use this one in the back. Again, you don't have to go all the way down, but if you go all the way down, then your tag doesn't have a chance to get hung up on the seam. And I mean, it's just a couple of inches of paper. It's not that big of a deal. You can always print out another page if you need another page of this one. Okay, so there's the first pocket done. I went a little tiny bit too low on that one, so I went a little bit too far on here, so I probably should just even cut off just a little tiny bit of this. I can do that without getting on the envelope. And then this pocket will fold better. Then I want something on here. I think I want another one, a pattern like that. I like to vary the patterns. It looks nice. I like that one actually. Let's use that one. I want to worry more about the top, what the top looks like, because that's what you'll see. Just a little bit more at the bottom again. Okay, that looks good. And then this one comes up like this. And this one you could cut off if you want, or not this part. You can cut off this part inside here, or you can just glue it in, which I think I'm just going to glue it in. Got one glue that's working and one glue that's not, and I keep grabbing the wrong one. Maybe they're both not working now. Let's see, there we go. We like those fine tips on the glue, but then it gets to be a bit of a pain to keep them going all the time, doesn't it? Okay, so there's our last flap. I kind of have a green thing going on with this one. Okay, I'll put a piece of green on there. Show my little butterfly here, which is going to be nice. It's part of the butterfly. I could trim it a little more so it would show the butterfly more, but that's not really my style. I don't really like storing scraps. I like to use as much as I can. Like if I have a whole bunch of papers left, I'll make more pockets or something and use them right away, and then just little bits, I'll throw them away. Sometimes, I mean, I do have little scrap bins, but I like to just get rid of my stuff when I'm done. So there's 3. It doesn't really look like 3 yet, but we're going to ink it and sew it and stuff, so then it'll look more defined as 3. So there's that one. Okay, so I just wanted to see how many I had here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So then I just need one more. Which one am I missing here? And then we've got this folio one. So I'm going to do this one this way. So what I did is I opened the whole thing up and then I folded it the opposite way. Instead of this way, I folded it this way. And then I folded it this way again. And then I want this on the front. So I'm going to collage on the front. And I think I'm just going to collage the whole thing at once. Because this one you will see the whole thing. So I'm still going to use several papers probably. Let's see what we want to use here. I might give it a bit of a break at the fold lines though, because that does sort of if you have to fold through so many layers, it does kind of catch. So let me see if I'm doing it this way, then this needs to be this way up. You want your writing to be the right direction, so just kind of fold it and see which way it works. Didn't really get quite to the edge there, but that's okay. I'll do something, you can always add a piece of lace or ink it, or it's the beauty of junk journals, right? You don't need to get it perfect. Okay, so there's that side. Okay. So this needs to be right side up. Let me just mark here. So this will be the top on this one. This will be the top on that section, and this will be the top on that section. That would be a little bit smarter, wouldn't it? And I can figure out what I'm doing here. Now, these two sides will be side by side. That might look good like that. Adding a bit of more pink to this one, I see. I just love all these colors, how they all kind of go together. I started, when I designed the folio, I used primarily purples and yellows and a little bit of the other colors. I made another folio last year using the Spring Bounty kit, and I used primarily green and pink, I think. Can't remember now. So there's the inside. And then I need something on the back, and you could use several pieces here if you want. That might be nice for the back because it's kind of got pink going on there. So let's put the pink here on the back. It's not going to be quite white enough. That's okay. And I'll always cover that up somehow. Piece of washi tape, piece of lace. And then I have one more side here. And this will be the front. And I think I do want my window to stay there. You don't want to do just to cover this and then, you know, just this little bit. Even if it's glued really well, it just doesn't usually turn out very well. I can do that. That would look nice. Do that on this side of the window. A little bit farther down here. Again, on my, either my envelopes or my folds are a little bit crooked here. I wish we could have a two-sided conversation here, you know, just crafting, and, you know, I could say, what do you think of this? And, you know, what color should I put here? Or how could I fold this differently? Or, and actually here's somebody who sees the project actually respond to me. I mean, you could respond in the comments, but at that point it's usually too late. Use that little piece there at the bottom. Do I want something at the top? You know, I think I might stick something at the top. I do still have that window there, but if I put a little bit up here too. What do you guys think? After I just said that. It just looks like it's a little empty there. think I do need a little bit of something there. Okay, so I think that is it. We've got everything basically covered. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some sewing on pretty much all of mine, and my sewing machine is in the opposite room, and I'm actually going to have to think a little bit because I don't want to sew anything shut that shouldn't be sewn shut. So I'll come back in just a second and I'll show you exactly where I sewed, but you're not going to see my process of sewing, so I'll be back in a second. All right, guys, it's just been a second for you, but it's been a minute for me. But I sewed everything, I inked everything, and I have little pieces ready to glue on, so I thought I would go through them one by one again. If you're good to go, feel free to click on the next video. So this is the first pocket that we made. I sewed initially around, or just down, when it was still open, I sewed down this pocket here. Looks like this one needs a little bit of a stick on the, it's right along the window there. Of course you don't want to stitch your pocket closed, so I stitched that first, closed it up, and stitched around the other three sides. And I thought what I would do here is make just a little collage with a couple of the elements. So I have this bird that I thought I would put on the top. And then a lot of these pieces are busy. So if you just put that there, it does look okay, but I think it looks a little better to have something underneath it. You know, now that I'm looking, I think I like it better like this. Some of them I do, some of them I don't. It's funny if you know, you kind of decide on something one day and the next day, if you haven't committed to it yet, sometimes your just the way you look at things kind of changes a little bit. But so there is our first pocket, and I think I might also put a tab on here, and I definitely want at least one label, but I'm going to leave this for now, and then I'm going to speed through the decorating of all of these so you can see what I'm doing, but it won't take forever. And then I'm going to glue them into my book. Well, I'll add the labels if I want a label. I'll glue them into my book, and then I'll after this little speed through, you'll see where I put them in my book and what they look like in the journal. And then next week I'm planning to make tags, so I'm not going to put anything into these envelopes this week. So here we go with the speed through.